Okay.
I don't know if we're on with us.
Hello, everyone. I have Miss Letesha with us today. And Letesha, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm Letesha Smith, as many may have met me through our Aprons International community page. I live in Lexington, South Carolina. I'm a proud mom of 3 boys. One now is my April angel, which is Liam Elijah, who passed this year, January, unexpectedly. But we are here in Lexington, South Carolina, which is on the East Coast. Here just raising our family the best way we know how, putting one foot forward, after such a tragic event at the beginning of the year.
And I do want to say, I am in love with that new headstone. It is beautiful. It
Thank
is
you, thank
absolutely beautiful.
Thank you, thank you.
So with Liam, and I've kind of cheated. I've seen some of your videos lately, so I've kind of cheated. So I know the answer to this, but did you know that Liam would have Apert syndrome when he was born?
I did not. Liam was born at 30 weeks and 6 days, and it wasn't until his birth that we found out that he had Apert syndrome. And Liam was born via emergency C-section as I was 30 weeks and 6 days, so that was considered an emergency. So he was born emergency C-section, and I personally didn't get to meet my son until 5 days after his birth, because of the hospital we were at did not cater to babies born before 33 weeks.
Wow.
So I delivered him at one hospital. Before I came through from surgery, he was already transported to the children's hospital, the NICU.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And
The
so,
longest 5 days of my life.
oh, trust me, I know, because I had Emma at one hospital and she had to be transferred to the NICU in another hospital, and I didn't see her for 2 days.
Yeah.
So I get it. It's definitely not the same level, but I get it. It's hard.
Not at all.
It is hard. And so, did Liam have any kind of special medical equipment?
Well, with Liam was one of the most mild case of Apert syndrome that any of the doctors who've experienced and worked with children, who studied at CHOP there in Pennsylvania, he was the mildest case they had ever seen. Once genetic testing came back and confirmed that it was actually Apert, they were kind of blown back, because when you read up anything on Apert, it only shows you worst case scenario.
Exactly.
So as parents, you see this and all you got is worst case scenario in front of you, but then you have a child who doesn't have the trach, who's not on the G-tube, who's not requiring oxygen, who is verbal, who can hear, who can see, and you're like, okay, well, somebody needs to kind of give us some hope to let us know that this is not, always what it is. But Liam didn't have anything else except Apert syndrome as far as the cosmetic part.
Right.
Lung, liver, gallbladder, everything was there. Didn't have the palate cleft. Just had the premature frontal sutures that closed early. And that was pretty much it. Like, he wasn't on meds. He just did his thing.
That's awesome. Did he have any kind of delays?
Well, Liam was born 2 months early. So of course there was expected delays for a premature baby, but he gained weight on target. He grew on target. He was the biggest baby in the NICU because he was 5 pounds, 6 ounces at birth at 30 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So he picked up on everything like anybody else. And then with myself, I continued to work with Liam, even though we had, EIs coming in, speech therapists, physical, occupational. I still continue to work with Liam hands on as I feel that, the hour that they give you with your kid, that's all they're getting.
Yeah,
And you need more. So he caught on
absolutely.
pretty quickly. Yeah, he caught on pretty quickly. The holding his own bottle, holding his head up, sitting up on his own, caught on pretty quickly. He's a really special kid, really special kid.
That's awesome. And so I think it's also really important to hear that some of these kids are very mild and they don't have to do all the things, and they don't have to have the trach and the G tube, and they can, be vocal and gain the weight. Because I know that that's one of the things, is that a lot of the kids struggle to gain the weight too. And so it's important, for us to get that out there, that it's not always worst case scenario.
It is not. It is not. Liam was breastfed, so Liam latched. He breastfed until he turned
Nice.
1. He fed through his bottles and everything, and I just feel like a mother's milk gave him a greater chance to gain his weight on his own.
Yeah,
Because I would fix my diet to figure out a way that it would give him the most healthiest milk. So
right.
it gave me the upper hand on that part, and I know all moms are not able to do that. But there are cool programs out there where there are mothers like myself who can still pump milk, and we
Yes,
pump, we freeze, we send it off, and other moms who want to take that route are able to do so, which is an awesome, awesome
it
thing.
is.
For
It
those of
really
us who may
is.
just not have the time, our breasts are just not doing it, this time around, that type of thing. And it's a screening process, but it's out there. And there are moms out there that's willing to help us, especially when our kids are born with an underlying condition.
Right.
So it's a pretty cool thing.
That is. That's really cool.
Yeah,
And
it really is.
so, when with Liam, coming home from the NICU and meeting all of his milestones, had he started crawling or walking?
Liam would only stand, and he would only stand and look back at you and laugh and look you in your face and laugh like, aha, you think I'm about to take a step? Not today. Because I think the kid figured out, if I walk and do like these other little people around here, then they're not going to pick me up and carry me anymore.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like that's what the little smart guy, figured out. So he would stand up, he'll give you his action, he'll stand up, look at you with the excitement because we're excited. And he'd be like, okay, I'm over it now. I'm sitting down. I'll give y'all my one trick today, and that's it.
That's awesome.
One trick a day, that's it. You get nothing else.
That's all you get, no more.
Yeah. We're thinking we got him on the rope. He has us on the rope. That's the way it went here,
Yes,
We work for him,
absolutely. I feel that way a lot with Emma.
Oh, yeah. We work for them.
Yeah, we
We work for
definitely
them.
do. And everything is on their time.
Yes. Very much so. Very much so.
How many surgeries did Liam have to have?
Liam, when he was born, they decided to do the early release of his frontal sutures at 1 month. So his very first surgery was December the 28th of 2020, and he was born November the 5th of 2020.
Oh, wow.
So that was his very first surgery, and it went really, really well. I mean, I immediately saw the results, when he came in from surgery, because his little forehead was no longer tightened. It was now free. And he did very well with that. And then September of 2021, he did the FOA, because Liam's eyes would never really shut when he would go to sleep. And so the FOA was to provide protection for his eyes so that we wouldn't have to have eye surgery and have to have his eyes replaced. I want to keep his beautiful eyes.
Yes.
And so we did the FOA in September of 2021. So those were the two surgeries that Liam had, and we were scheduled for June 6th of this year. Would have been his very first syndactically release.
Oh, wow.
But unfortunately, Liam passed in January.
And would you mind telling us what he passed away from?
Okay, so with Liam never was sick. So Liam was fairly a healthy kid. He had his diagnosis, and the diagnosis doesn't determine how well you're going to do or how well you're not going to do.
Absolutely.
But he had never gone to the doctor for being ill. He always had his well visits. But on the particular morning of the 19th, Liam woke up with a fever, which was out of the norm for Liam, because that's not normal for him.
Right.
So because I saw that he had a fever, I reached out to his pediatrician. Me being the mom I am, it's hard to explain to somebody who's never worked with a child who has Apert syndrome, or better yet, never even heard of the diagnosis Apert syndrome, to allow them to look at my child and then misdiagnose what his issue may be.
Right.
So I've always taken him to his pediatrician, to be on the up and up. So he was just running a fever. There were no other symptoms. We did take him to his pediatrician that morning of the 19th, and she ran tests. She did COVID, flu A, flu B, and RSV, and he didn't have any of those. He just had a temp. So we brought him back home because she didn't have anything else.
Right.
And we had a normal day. I called back to let them know his fever was continuing to go up. They informed me, hey, you have to wait, Mom. You just left. You kind of gotta wait. So we go to bed, and I wake up at about 12:57, just to check on him, as I always do, because I'm still on NICU hours.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was just a total silence, and something caused his heart to just stop beating. He was no longer breathing, and I wasn't able to resuscitate him. So we did call for help, and they weren't able to get his heart started up or anything as well. And they told us, he had passed. He's now gone from our little sweet boy here to our angel boy. And everything is so backed up here, you still have to wait for a cause of death, but they just label it so far as just a natural cause of death so far.
Right.
But to get further details, we have to wait on all the reporting to come back.
Right.
But we're just being patient to see what happened, because I want to know so that I can let any other parent who has a child with Apert syndrome know things to look out for.
Absolutely.
So they don't have to walk the path that we're having to walk with children who have such promising lives ahead of them. Being diagnosed with Apert syndrome is not a death sentence. It's, it's a change of life. You're going to be able differently, but it's not a death sentence.
No.
And I don't want that stigma with Apert syndrome.
Exactly.
Once you read all the literature out there on it. So
exactly. And especially because Liam was healthy.
Yes.
He was healthy boy.
Had never really been in the public. I only took him to his doctor's appointments. I work from home, so I didn't have to go out in the public. We only went out if we had doctor's appointment. Never once had he caught COVID. And I was pregnant with him during the whole COVID pandemic. It's just a lot of unknown answers. And hopefully once all the pathologists, neurologists, and everybody look at everything, they can kind of give us a what did occur, being that we don't know. You expect somebody to be sick and then they pass away. You don't expect somebody to have a fever and pass away.
Right.
Fevers happen in anybody on any given time. So that is the thing we're waiting on. And I will let my Apert community know.
Please do.
Because our kids are the unknown. Each child is different. The diagnosis is the same, but each child is different. And so we have to approach it that way, as what we see in front of us with our children versus what's written. And so that's what I do.
Definitely. And so for those of you that are new, that are just finding this channel, Letesha has lots of exciting things going on. She has so far one book that's come out.
Yes.
She's working on book number 2 and book number 3.
Correct.
She also has a website. She has a 501c3,
Yes.
And she's just got all kinds of amazing plans that
For
she's
my community.
doing.
It's
So
it's for our community, because as I do further research and I look around, what I've noticed is they like to take Apert syndrome and say, hey, yeah, let's stick them in there in this group. But we're our own people. Our kids' diagnoses are their own diagnosis. So to just stick us in a corner doesn't sit well with me. So my goal is to use what I know by writing books, by the nonprofit, and with my voice is to bring awareness that, hey, we deserve to be in our category, because what you need to know is what's happening with cruisins is not what's really happening with aperts, but you are
exactly.
clumping us all in that group. And that's not the case. We are our own individual community, and our kids are affected by one gene that just decides to do what it wants to do.
Yeah,
Other kids that are able differently, there are multiple things that cause them to be able differently. But the common denominator with Apert syndrome is the FGFR2 gene.
yes.
That's it.
That's
That
the
gene just
one.
said, okay, we're going to have a disco party, and boom, this is what we're going to get.
Yeah,
And so I want to bring more awareness to that cause, because our community is small, but I think it's more in our community. I just think that information is just not out there where
I
others can
agree.
come into the community. And that's another goal of the nonprofit, is to get the literature, get the information out there. And it's not that I can reach everybody in the world, but I can get this information to a hospital. And to a hospital where there's a mom who doesn't know her kid has Apert syndrome until they're born. Here's a pamphlet. Here's real people that are going through what you're going through, who found out just the way you found out. And you can reach out to us immediately.
Exactly.
By sharing phone numbers, the nonprofits, our emails, and our stories, to let them know this is not an end. This is
Yeah.
a new beginning. And so that is what my goal is, still remaining in the Aperts community now that I have an Aper angel.
Absolutely. And
And
you will
I'm not
always be
stop.
in that community.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna
Always.
stop.
No.
I'm not gonna stop. And so that is my goal, because it was the worst thing in the world to not have information or have somebody who could assure me
Yeah.
that this is not a death sentence. I, for 2 months, went through it by myself, because the hospital I was at, a lot of people, it was the first time they had ever heard of it.
Yeah.
They didn't know how to connect me with people who could say, okay, well, if you need us, here's the questions. They had none of that information. They handed me whatever they printed offline in black and white, in which I say it's the worst case scenario. And I'm now arguing with the doctors, the specialists, saying, look, we ain't going to be doing all this here if it's not going to give my kid the best quality of life.
Exactly.
How he appears to you is your problem. But what I'm going to do is show him love from within, that when people do see him and he is able differently or look different, he don't even know. What you say don't even bother him. It will roll off water like on a duck's back. That's
Exactly.
who I am.
I
That's
love
who I
that.
am.
Yes.
So that's the fight for our Aperts community. Because I felt like I was drowning. And
Yeah.
my husband, he had no clue. It was foreign language. It was like somebody was speaking in another language to him. And he panicked. He panicked. Me,
Yeah.
I put on the armor like I was ready to go to war, because I'm going to find nothing but the best and absolute the best for my kid, and the best way to handle anything that they tell me.
Yeah.
Because what I learned early on is you can say no. You can say no.
Yes.
And you can say, let me further look into this. Don't just come tell me what you're going to do. Let me look into this.
Yes. And it's important to say no. It's important to understand that you have the right to say no, and you have the right to get another opinion on something.
And correct.
And it's important to voice that. And if they get their feelings hurt, you can't control how they feel. This is your child.
Confused. They were so confused at one time. They were telling me, oh yeah, he's going to need a trach. But I understand that they were saying this because what they saw in the literature,
right?
Not what was before them, which was my child Liam, who was able to breathe on his own at 30 weeks, never needed a steroid or anything to help him breathe. He came out showing them, I got fight in me.
And that's amazing because he was even breathing better than a baby
Full term.
born preterm without
Mhm.
Apert syndrome.
Yes. And so they were talking about a trach at one point, and I said, well, excuse me, let me see the ENT.
Yeah.
I don't want you all to relate anything to me. I want to speak to the ENT personally. I need him to be at bedside. I'll be back here tomorrow. And he came, put the camera down, Liam. He said his nasal passages are small, but he's perfectly fine. They're not fused anywhere. There's no need for a trach. I said, well, could you please let everybody else know that?
Yeah.
And probably a week before Liam's passing, he went and saw his ENT, because I keep him in rotation. And and if you feel uncomfortable with the doctor saying, oh, everything is fine, you don't no longer need to see me, if it's a specialist, you can go to that specialist every 6 months. He could say what he want to say, but make that appointment so that you know that in this time frame that they didn't see your child, that something happened, something changed. You can do that. And you do it by telling your pediatrician, hey, can you set up me an appointment with a specialist?
Exactly.
I was good for that. I know they probably said, this woman, please get her out of here.
No, absolutely not. And our specialists, we're grateful that we're being seen every 6 months now, because it was every 2 weeks, and then it was every month, and then it was every 3 months. And we're finally to like 6 months at a time. And so it's good, and with her ENT, sometimes we have to bump him back because it's on the list of least important at that time. So sometimes she doesn't see her ENT until 8 months, but it's important to still have those appointments.
And it is very important. It is very, very important. And they may say they want to turn you loose, but your pediatrician will get you to see anybody, because all it takes is a note from the pediatrician to get you an appointment.
Yes.
It's just that simple. And I just want all our Apert moms, dads, grandmas, just the family to know that as a village and as a community, we could do anything, and our kids can be anybody they want to be. I don't get the luxury of seeing Liam grow to be who, I had imagined him to be, but I get a joy out of seeing everybody else's kids meeting their milestones, doing new things. It excites me. It doesn't sadden me. It excites me, because what I do see is keep pushing. I see these kids who are so brave and so resilient, just keep pushing. And that's why I haven't fallen apart, because our kids are so brave and resilient. It's like, I don't get to just have a pity party. I don't get to. So my goal is to just advocate, voice it, get it out there. Give us our own things, give us our own things. Give our parents the benefit of the doubt when they apply for benefits for their children. They're needed.
Yes.
They are needed. They deny us so quickly. They are needed. And every parent doesn't have a 2-parent household, or it's stressful. It's stressful in a marriage, and you want a healthy household for a child that is able differently. And all the government has to do is provide us the benefits. I mean, it's not that hard.
And even in a 2-parent household, you still need those benefits.
You do, because one is not able to do something at a full-time spectrum, because you have so many appointments that you have to take off for. So those are the things that I am advocating for, to put Apert syndrome on the list where we don't have, when you have the diagnosis, the benefits are automatically given.
That would be
amazing. I'm working with the lady here in South Carolina who helped me. And so what she's doing is she's going to give me the literature on what needs to be said when your social worker or your doctor fills out the paperwork, what needs to be said in order for it to keep going up the chain and not just be denied as soon as it comes in.
And that would be, so getting Apert syndrome on that list, that's the compassionate diagnosis?
Yes.
Okay, for the disability.
Yes.
So Emma was approved on the medical side, but they denied her because my husband made too much money. And that's something else that I feel needs to be adjusted, is that
and it does.
They need to look
It
at the
does.
child and go off
Because
the
your
child's
husband
income.
is having to work extra hard
Yeah,
to make sure he provides for his family, because he knows you as the mother, there are every appointment you're going to go to, and there are appointments that he's never going to see.
exactly.
And it's not fair.
No,
It's not
and
fair.
it's
And it
not.
doesn't make any type of sense. But these things won't get taken about and heard about if we don't voice it.
Exactly.
If we don't voice it. If we just be like, never mind, it's okay.
No, it's not
Liam
okay.
passed January the 20th. And I think on the day that I was getting ready to bury Liam, the next day I get a letter in the mail from the Social Security office telling me, oh, we've heard that Liam passed away, so the benefits will be stopped. I'm just like, people, I could care less. But you all sent this insensitive letter out.
Yeah.
While I'm processing the passing of my son, because you think I want your extra money. Goodbye. Yeah. Take it.
Exactly.
It's okay.
Keep it.
It was for him.
Yeah.
It wasn't for me. It was for him.
There's no need for that letter at that time.
Right. Right. Which it would have automatically cut it off, because his Social Security number is reported by the funeral home. So you had no reason to send me this letter. So it's things like that people are very insensitive about, especially for a child. An adult, you sent that out. Yeah, you don't know where this adult money is at, but for a child, it was very distasteful.
I agree 100%.
So there are a lot of things that I'm doing grant writings. I think I've applied for like 4 different grants, and it's for the publications, to get the publications out there, so they're in every hospital, and they're in every hospital as far as the social worker, because when you don't know that your child has a diagnosis, it should come from the social worker. The social worker should be the person that's trying to put you in the community with people to help you through this, and people that are going through it. So it's to get the literature to a lot of different hospitals, as much as they would let me get this literature printed, and get it out there so that people don't feel alone, because I felt like I was totally drowning, because I didn't know what APERT was. All I knew was I will not leave him, and I will fight as long as he want to fight, whether that be just a mentally speaking of fighting, or if I had to get physical and fight, I would. I would, because God had blessed me with Liam, and he was my gift. He was my gift. And each one of us that are parents to an APERT baby, there's just something so special there that, you can't imagine your life without them. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You can't 100%. Imagine yourself without them, because these little people come in with the weight on their shoulders, and they do it with no complaint.
Yeah. And they're happy. They're just happy.
Genuinely. That's why I think they're angels. I'm just like, okay, God, are you testing us?
They're happy. They're sassy. They're, they are
full of life.
The things.
Full of it.
It amazes me, their resilience, because Emma can go and have shunt revision after shunt revision and have her head cut on multiple times. And she gets back up the next day and she's fine, but a cold knocks her down. I'm like, girl, you literally just had your head cut open, but you're down because of a cold.
Right. Right.
But she bounces back from those surgeries like they're nothing.
And it's amazing. I have video of Liam having his first surgery and the second surgery, and I'm just like, is this baby over here running his mouth?
Yes.
Like playing with his toy, just doing what he want to do.
Yeah.
Moving his head. I'm just like, okay, you might not need to move your head. But it's a beautiful thing. And I've met some very beautiful people in the APERTS community. And I just thank God for being able to have the community at my weakest. Losing Liam was my very weakest, but so many people in the community that didn't even know Liam, didn't even know me, when they got wind, it was just like, what can we do? We're praying for you. They're constantly checking in on me. and I thank them so much. But that's the kind of love you get from your true family.
It
The
is.
diagnosis made us family.
It
It didn't
did.
take blood, it took the diagnosis.
It
And
really
I'm
did.
so grateful for that.
And that's one thing about our community. We're not just a community, we are a family.
Yes.
I've
Yes.
met so many people that I have never met in person, but I feel like I've known them my entire life.
Right. Like you and I'm just like,
Yes.
Stephanie be running our mouth and Stephanie way on this side, I'm way over here.
Yes.
But you can't tell me we haven't sat down and had dinner together with our families and just chopped it up. And when I say I wouldn't change anything about my experience with Apert syndrome with Liam, I wouldn't change anything. I'm saddened that he's not here, that everybody doesn't continue to see his strength and his growth, him continuing to kick down barriers through the diagnosis. But his mama ain't going away.
No.
And Liam will live on through me. Just having the 14 months with him, it was a very beautiful thing that I'm never going to forget. It gets to live with me and through me.
And you're building an amazing legacy.
I'm doing my very best, Stephanie, because all of our kids are going to know who Liam is, and this is what Liam was able to do for our community. And we're going to kick those barriers down, the roadblocks, the closed doors. We're going to kick them down for our children.
Absolutely.
And I still say our children because y'all my family. Like,
absolutely.
Y'all can't excommunicate me. Y'all can't kick me out.
No, we wouldn't want to. So do you have, well, I know this is a silly question, because I already know the answer to this question too. So Letesha has multiple websites. She has multiple ways to contact her. If you would send those to me,
I will.
And I will post them in the description box.
I will.
And then that way, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, they can reach out.
I'm here. I am here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here for the long haul, watching all the babies have their surgeries, recently, my heart just wanted just let me go to the hospital and let mom get a break to walk around outside, take a bath, get a chance to take in what has happened and cry if need be and come back and be refreshed. But unfortunately, I don't have frequent flyer miles to fly all over the place to do so. But I'm hoping in the near future that things from the nonprofit is able to allow us to do that. Whether somebody's in the Midwest with you, you're able to go and say, okay, mom, you take a break, go get a hot meal, that type of thing.
That would be amazing.
And it's not on the dime of their backs, it's coming from the nonprofit. So I'm just hoping that we're able to do that at some point, some given point in this life here,
And that's going to be amazing. Yes, that is going to be amazing.
I have a lot of hope for us as the Apert family. I have a lot of hope for us. And I know there's purpose through my pain. I believe that wholeheartedly. There's purpose through my pain. And if I can help somebody not go through this because it's something that was missed or something you need to ask the doctor about, I'm sharing the information. And it's not to scare everybody, because not everything, what happened to Liam may never happen again to an Apert baby. I just don't know. But I'd rather you be armed with the information than be thrown back because, it happened.
Yes.
And there's another Apert mom, I think, that lost a baby or something along the way. And I can't go back and find her in there. And I just wanted to reach out to her. And I'm just like, Lord, we write too much because now I can't go back and find this.
I'm pretty sure I know the one that you're talking about. And
I just want to check on her just to see how she's doing.
I think she actually left.
Oh, she left out of the group?
I think she did, but I'll send you a message because I think I know someone who's still in contact with her.
Okay, and that's all it is. I just want to continue to encourage her.
Yeah, and then that way you guys can
there's purpose in everything.
Yeah,
I am such a God-fearing woman. There's a purpose behind everything. It's a purpose behind everything, and I don't
I
want her to give
agree.
up. I don't want her to
I
give up.
agree. All right. Well, we are almost out of time.
Right.
Real quick,
Mm-hmm.
before we run out of time, what is
Mm-hmm.
one piece of advice that you would give to a new Avert mom?
Stand up. Take in the information that they're giving you, but take your notes at the same time. Don't make a decision because they're standing there in front of you. Tell them to give you a chance to process it, look at it, and then go back. You do not have to make a decision in the now. Take
Absolutely.
your time and research. Look at if it's going to benefit or if it's going to give your baby the best quality of life, and make that decision going from there.
I
That's my
love
advice
that.
to any new mom.
Yes.
Don't, it's overwhelming, but don't let it overwhelm you. Stand up. Say, wait a minute, let me get some questions. Write your questions down and ask
Yes.
them, can I have a meeting with you later on?
Absolutely.
That is my biggest
Absolutely. I
advice.
love that. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you so much for meeting with me today.
Thank you,
I
Stephanie.
appreciate it.
You're
And I will
welcome.
post all of her links down below so you can reach out. And I will talk with you soon.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank
All right.
you.
Love you too. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.